How's it going, everybody? My name is Sai, and today we're going to be talking about Cannibal Corpse's new album, Violence Unimagined. Now, Cannibal Corpse is a band that everybody should know if they follow heavy music generally. It is a death metal band that is one of the flagships, one of the staples of the genre, and probably for good reason, if this album is to be trusted. The reason why I say that is, well, this is actually the first Cannibal Corpse album I've listened to. I've listened to a lot of Cannibal Corpse in the past, song by song, but I have never actually really sat down and ingested an album until this one. So I find myself leaving this quite impressed, and also not very shocked at all. This is exactly what it says in the tin. This is tough as nails, brutal, low-end, fucking gore-strewn, nasty, at times technical death metal. That is really what this comes down to. And if you're looking for something else, if you're looking for something that's going to break apart the genre or really dissect it, you're going to be disappointed, because you're not going to get it here. Here, they deliver 11 tracks of just non-stop fucking face-crushing with occasional little hints of spicy groove and technicality, but for the most part, it all runs at a really similar tempo. Now, this kind of leads to an almost homogeneous feel throughout the album, but at the same time, they do diversify it. It's just that it's more like of an attempt, you know what I mean? Like, they try to diversify it, but I feel like they always play their cards really close to their vest, so as a result, a lot of the sound is pretty similar and meshed in. It kind of creates what I would like to call like a Motorhead effect, where if you go through their discography, it all sounds really solid. It sounds like death metal as you know it. It doesn't seem like it's pulling many punches or doing any humongous changes or reinventions of the genre. And in this case, that's a good thing, because they don't fuck up. As a result, they deliver exactly what fans are going to come in here looking for, and they do a great job of it. Now let's talk a little bit more details, why don't we? Tempo-wise, like I said, very similar tempos here or there. It is like a very mid-tempo sound that follows this thing all the way through to the end, with a little bit of variation towards the end, especially towards the end, with a couple of tracks like Overture and Slowly Sawn, where, true to the name, Slowly Sawn kind of slows down and brings a more of a groovy sound to it. And then on the flip side, Overture is spastic, bordering on thrash death metal. That goes a little bit harder than the rest of the album did, which is not to say any of the albums are slouch. I mean, when we're measuring heaviness, we're talking about fucking 2,000 stones versus 3,000 stones. You know, it's all tough as nails. It is all brutal. There is absolutely zero chill on this whole fucking thing, and that's what you're looking for. You good. From a guitar's perspective, interesting as hell. The guitars are constantly changing it up here or there while creating a sound that sounds pretty fluid. It is merciless the entire time, but there's really cool inventive riffs sprinkled here and there, and some of like the licks that run over the drum fills are really out there and kind of make your eye pop a little bit and get it. But what really grips me is some of the songs like Ritual Annihilation or Slowly Sawn, as I previously mentioned, which have like more of a fucking groove to it. Gives it almost like this kind of Black Sabbath-y, like just dark 80s metal fucking groove, but just laced in tar, lit in gasoline, and it's just nastiness, of course, that is known to the genre. That was a terrible analogy, but you know, I'm trying. I read some glitzy reviews earlier, and it's kind of making me like try to play with wordplay. So overall, really cool, intense guitar work. I love, like I said, the groovy parts really got me into it. It really kind of woke me up, because at first I was like, oh, this is the first death metal song. This is the second death metal song. Oh, this is the third death metal song. It's all really solid, but none of it's making me go, whoa, dude. But when he started mixing it up with the guitars, which were definitely the biggest mix-ups, I think, in the whole album, it really kept it interesting. Now, for something that is not mixed up fucking at all, but it is totally solid, the vocals, Corpse Grinder, I believe, is one of his names. I don't actually know his real name. No research before this one, boys. You getting the live cut right here. Punishing fucking lows that never relent. However, occasionally give way to something of like a brutal, almost shriek, almost like a mid shout, and it is those times where you can actually kind of make out a couple of the lyrics, which is fun. It's usually like strewn with profanity. I think he was like saying like fucking torture or fucking died or something that really stood out to me. I was like, oh hey, there's a word in there. And I'm actually pretty good at like listening to screams and really gleaning them, but this is just such raw filth, and it isn't like grindcore levels of guttural. Like, there's more dry oomph to it. It doesn't sound sludgy, it sounds pounding. It is not gurgly, it is menacing in like a roar kind of sound. And I actually kind of prefer that to a lot of the more conventional like deathcore or grind metal sounds. You know, I prefer a little bit of that more like vicious bark, that vicious low end like feral animal fucking growl. Like, that shit is awesome. I love that shit. Speaking of shit that I love, the drums might be one of the standout parts of this, honestly, is the drum section just doesn't relent. They mix in every kind of death metal drum trope you can think of at a violent display. They consistently handle their tempos well, and they mix it up in ways where like I'm sitting there listening, just picking out all the different rhythms this guy throws out in the span of one song, being very impressed with it. And so it all makes it kind of interesting when I say, like, there's all this diversity here or there, but overall the sound of the album is consistent from track 1 to track 11. It feels like nothing really goes really far out there, really out of the box, and in this case, they mix in enough subtleties that for once I don't feel like it's a bad thing. You'll find me rag on a lot of albums for not reaching outside the box or doing something crazy or, you know, doing anything inventive to really change up the track time, especially when it goes over 30 minutes like this album does. But I feel like the subtle intricacies, the way every song has its kind of unique identity, makes it so that there's no like real skippers, you know what I mean? Like, you can get something different out of every song despite the fact that it all creates a similar mood and a similar overall sound that is undoubtedly Cannibal Corpse. I've heard people toss around that this is one of their best albums. I couldn't say whether or not that's true, because like I said, I haven't listened to many others, but I will say if it is one of their best albums, I'll bet you that's one of the reasons, is just kind of how they freshen the sound while keeping every element intact. They don't throw out any elements for the sake of experimentation. They just take those elements, heighten them, and stretch them a little bit and play with them. I like that. I really respect that kind of workmanship in the album. Which brings me to the last like real point of discussing the album, which is the production. Production, phenomenal. I kind of had an image in my head of death metal being like really kind of like lo-fi sounding, you know, a little garagey. No, this is punchy. This is a punchy, crisp mix. The vocals fill your ears, the riffs kind of surround you and jump in and out of the different pans very cleanly and just kind of sort of bounce you between track to track. They really keep you going full throttle through it, and everything just has a really great balanced low end. There's enough treble where it doesn't sound muddy. It is just a flawless fucking mix overall. And there's occasional mix-ups with like the vocals where on a particularly stinging note they'll add a little bit of echo there to give it that otherworldly feel, or that scream into the void sound that is just, it just hits just right. It's really, really nice. So yeah, overall I find myself being really, really into this record. I kind of want to go sit down and listen to some other Cannibal Corpse records after this to see how it stacks up, just out of morbid curiosity. But yeah, there's no surprises here, for sure. There's some nice little hints of, oh, this is cool, oh, that's a little bit different, but nothing really like makes me go, whoa, and that's actually why I didn't end up filming a reaction, or I actually cut off the filming like halfway through listening to this. I was like, okay, nothing's really blowing my mind or making for an entertaining reaction, but I'd love to talk about the album because it's really solid. So yeah, that's my overall thoughts on Cannibal Corpse. You let me know what you thought down below. While you're down there, I also have the links to go buy this album. If you'd be so kind as to buy the album, get some merch, all that good stuff, support the bands that you love. The phone is always going to ring at one point during these videos, I swear to God. And yeah, as for me, I have my little Discord community down below that you can join, and we can discuss music, and you can see my other projects that I have coming up. I do vocal covers here, I do reviews, I do reactions, and I'm always trying to look to widen that scope even further, so we'll see what surprises we have in store, as well as my Twitch channel, which every Friday I host a little music show where you bring in your music, I react to it, we talk about it. Overall, just have a really good time. It's a nice mix of review, reaction, and general hangout vibes. So real fun, lots of different genres come through there. Check it out if you have the time. And as for that, that's gonna be it for me, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and take care.